Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sounds on the Couch. We've got a very exciting interview today with LT. So, LT is the inspiring creation of Californian-Melbourne artist Lauren Tarver. Since 2018, she's been building a dedicated follower base in Melbourne, and her recent releases, Keep Walking and Space, have been played on Triple J Unearthed, and topped the Amrap charts. She has not let COVID stop her in her tracks and has adapted accordingly. She's played many online gigs as well as creating her own music and releasing as such. So September 18, she's releasing her album Everything Is Fine, and I'm really looking forward to delving into that and finding out a little bit about how the creation process has gone during this tough COVID time, and also what's the inspiration for that. So without further ado, I'll bring LT through. And hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. It's so good to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a bit of a treat to have something to look forward to during the day these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think if we just jump straight into it, I'm really excited to find out a little bit about where the name LT originated from.
Well, that's a that is a bit of a trick. My initials are actually LT. And when I the like phonetically,
Yeah.
phonetically LT is the name I've chosen, but I think when I started to like maybe 2017, 2018 actually, when I started to perform like my own stuff, I
Yeah.
was really not interested in using my own name. And yeah, I didn't know what the project would become. I didn't know if it was going to be me. I didn't know it was going to be a band. Like I didn't really know where it was going to go. So I wanted to choose something that was a bit ambiguous. So,
Yeah. So-
yeah, it's interesting because it's like it sounds like a name, and people call me Elle quite often, and I respond to it. So either way,
Which is definitely something I've struggled with
oh
when
yeah,
I've spoken to you as well.
yeah.
So I guess what was it that first got you into music in the first place?
Um, just being a consumer of music, I think like the early age obsession with music. Like I guess my entryway artist band was Blink 182. Um, and that's what kind of got me to pick up a guitar when I was about 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And then yeah, after a lot of years of not playing music, not writing music, in my early 20s, not so long ago, I started writing songs. It just took a while for me to kind of get that confidence and find my sound and find my voice.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And at what point did it sort of start to become an idea of a career for you?
I think when I started playing and writing, performing, like I said, and when I kind of started writing, making music under LT, like 2018, and yeah, like I think it took me a while to get there, but once I started, I was really serious about it. And I really wanted to give it
Mm.
a good go. So, um, but it had been you know incubating for a while.
Yeah.
I started playing with a band when I lived in France, like 2015, and that's kind of what got me into playing live and getting more comfortable with that space.
Wow. So you've done a lot of traveling around, obviously landing in Australia. So what was it that actually brought you to Australia?
Um, it, when I answer that question, I think I tend to like the more relevant question to me is like, why am I still here? Because it's been about 4 years. And I think it's just I was, like I said, I was living in France for a few years, but it just wasn't my place, and I wasn't really ready to go back to the States and where I'm from. And so I thought I'd come here for the summer and then head back to Europe, but I came here and came to Melbourne and just fell in love with the people and the music scene. And it was just at the moment where I was really starting to write a lot of my own songs and really wanted to put them out there. So it was a
Fantastic.
good match.
Yeah, and it sounds like the perfect timing as well, which is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So I guess for those who've never heard of your music before, so maybe somebody's watching who's just thinking, I might just check out who this LT person is. How would you explain the style of your music?
Oh, how would it's so hard. I mean, I have had practice trying to explain it.
Yeah.
But genres are weird, and explaining your own stuff is hard. But I think it's emotional rock. It's sometimes I answer that question by just saying guitar music. But yeah, it's emotional rock, indie, dark, but
Yeah.
but hopefully there's a little bit of beauty in there
Yeah.
to kind of counteract that darkness. But yeah, that's how I maybe would describe it.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting style because I think you can hear a lot of different influences through there. But who would you say would be your biggest influences in your music?
Um, I have a lot because I don't really have like one artist I've ever really looked at and been like I want to be like this. But I can name certain things about certain artists that I really look up to, and one of them is I really admire Sharon von Etten's career and her songwriting and her style. Um, Also, Big Thief is a huge influence for me. I don't know if that shows up in my writing, but either way, I'm totally okay with that because I love them. I think they're an
Yeah.
incredible band and incredible songwriters. Angel Olsen's another one of mine. I just really like how she kind of paves her own path with her songwriting and her the melodies she makes and the sounds she makes and the way she uses her voice. Yeah, and then there's just like I think those are the most relevant ones probably. Just like my top three influences, but there's so many more that like influence me in other ways.
Yeah, and I think so often you don't realize how much different things that you listen to actually get incorporated into your own music.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I mean, now I think as I'm writing for the um, writing new songs for what
Yeah.
will be a second album, I would say, but not to get too ahead of myself because the first one hasn't even come out yet. But I am like, as I listen to music, I just listen a bit differently now. I listen and I hear things and I add them to a playlist or I write a note to say I like this this bass sound and this synth like tone and things like that. So I'm thinking more critically and more just I'm listening different to music, so the influences kind of enter my brain in a different way.
When those ideas do come up, do you tend to record down all of those concepts and things that come to you? Do you have a process to do that?
Um, I think I probably don't write it down as much as I just kind of like have it in my brain.
Yeah.
I do, like I said, I do have like playlists on YouTube or Spotify where I just like like bass sounds that I like, and I'll just chuck songs in there that I listen to, and I don't always specifically put like the timestamp on there of like what sound I'm interested in, but I like when I listen back, I can kind of like remember those influences, and um, I'm getting a bit more of a structure around probably that
Yeah.
production and writing process, but yeah, it's usually just the song that I'm writing at the like when I'm writing a song, it's those things are in my head, those things are relevant at the time, and I kind of like know what I'm trying to get with it, and if there's like a part of the song that I want to sound like something, or if that I'm interested in going one direction with it, it's kind of already just there in my head.
Yeah. So good. So what's been the highlight of your career so far?
Wow, highlight of my career. um I think probably I mean this album will be the highlight for sure. I think it's been a long time coming and it's so close. So I'm just maybe that's the answer, that it's the album. But I think with a career in music as like a performer, an artist, a songwriter, whatever, it's just all these little wins that really add up to something. And there's definitely playing live is one of my most favorite parts about making music. So there's been a few gigs that have just been really wonderful and good and fun and just like I really miss that also right now.
Oh, of course.
um yeah
So how have you found adapting to the online space?
It's a bit weird. I'm definitely used to this whole like video, like
Yeah,
live thing. I think because, within my work as well, like I just Zoom and FaceTime and things like that have become more used more often and more normalized. But yeah, I can't wait until a real gig happens again.
of course, it's
But
not the same.
yeah, it's not the same. But it's nice that there's a space and a platform to share and to still like engage in things like interviews and performances and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, great. So we've mentioned a little bit, you've got your album and vinyl release as well coming out on the 18th of September,
Yes.
called Everything is Fine. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that release and what it means to you?
Yeah. Well, because this is my debut release of an album, it's kind of I listened to this interview last night. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. I was like in a rabbit hole of some musician interviews, and someone was saying that like your debut is kind of like the sum of your entire life because it's the first release. It's maybe ideas that you had that were like brewing for a
Mm.
while, and that the first songs you've ever written. So I feel like that's like really, I really liked that idea about how this is kind of like the 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 debut of this experience that has been manifesting for my entire life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to having that that. I don't know. I think it's a special thing to have that debut and I feel if I feel it feels special. It feels really it feels like it represents this time as an artist in my life, and I'm also looking forward to like
Yeah.
what I come up with next.
Great. And so the songs that you've got on that album, are they what's the influence for those songs?
Well, I again after like having to talk about my music or talk about the album, talk about the songs, and write about the songs, to various people in different different things in interviews or in press releases, whatever. I kind of realized that the album is really about it's all these songs are kind of about this one idea, or this experience of feeling really shameful and hurt about something that's happened to you, about someone who's wronged you, about someone who's let you down, and be feeling shame about that experience,
Yeah.
about having gone through that. But then at the same time, within these songs and within the album, it's about feeling empowered again and finding your voice again and reinstating your narrative, like defining your own narrative instead of taking the one that you had that was created by this like awful experience. And I think yeah, a lot of the songs as singles kept coming out and I had to really think about these individual songs, I realized that they're all kind of have the same theme in them.
Yeah. And so is that a message that you're wanting to share with people that have been through that experience through releasing this album?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of my favorite parts about songwriting and performing them and releasing them is that anyone else can take that song and make it their own. Like as soon as I release a song, it's no longer mine, and I love that about it. It's everyone else's, or it's each individual person's, and I think it's really special, kind of the meaning that someone might get from it. But I think the title track and that the title of the album, "Everything Is Fine," is what I want people to come away with. It's that
Yeah.
it's this kind of cynical but serious like way of just saying like it's all gonna be okay. Maybe it's not right now, or maybe it is, or maybe it won't. Doesn't feel like it ever is gonna be, but everything it's fine. And I
Yeah.
think that's like the final message that um, these songs give away.
It's so good. So, probably along those lines as well. On Thursday, you premiered a new film clip for your existing track Space.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to explain a little bit about why you decided to um, reinvigorate that track or the video around that track?
Yeah. So it's something that I've been working on for the last month. But the person who filmed the original video for the single space, some really terrible allegations came out against him, and it was put forward by a lot of women and people in the industry, and because of those allegations of abuse and yeah, assault, I felt very strongly about not having that content out in the world by that person. And I also wanted to use that as an opportunity to engage with some really amazing female identifying creators. So Chelsea King is who helped me create that video, which is just this montage of like all these really sentimental and beautiful moments of recording the album. And it's an idea I've had for a while, and so it made sense that I wanted to kind of rid that person, the video,
Mm.
from existence in a way, but not erase not do it without saying anything, and not do it without putting something out that kind of replaces it in a positive way.
Yeah, fantastic. And if anyone wants to have a look at that video, it is really inspiring. You can find it on Borderlines, and I'll put after the interview, I'll put in the comments box the link where you can find that as well. So that just premiered this last Thursday. Um, Going back, I guess, to the release, and probably even to your songs that you did release recently. Um, what was the creative process that you took in order to put those together?
So the process, what like again, because these were songs that some of them I wrote a really long time ago, and some of them I wrote right up like close to recording the album. Um, Songwriting is always a process for me of just like picking up a guitar and like
Mm,
just playing and doing like it's I don't have a process really around okay I want to make a song like this, but it usually starts with me just playing some chords and then singing over it, and then there's something in there that I'm like that's good. And I always
mm,
record on my phone. I always hit
yeah,
voice memo and record every single time, and I've learned that if I don't and I do something and then sometimes it can go away forever. Like I
yeah.
can't replay that same redo that same thing. So that's like my songwriting process. And then with this album, I was playing solo, but I was also starting to play with a band. So we would learn the songs as a band to perform live. And then after playing with the band for a bit, we recorded some demos. And then Andy, who is the drummer of my band, they engineered the whole thing and produced it with me and mixed it. And we did that at their family beach house. So after the demos were done, we went away for about a week, which was just amazing to have that time. Very thankful to my bandmates for taking that time as well and putting that effort into it. But we went away and tracked the songs, and we did it in just the same space. We did a bits like vocals back in Melbourne, but
Mm,
yeah, it was just we recorded in this big room that had this natural reverb, and it was just like
mm.
it was a good space to kind of make an entire cohesive album. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. How did you find going from being a solo artist into working with a band? I'm sure that there would have been some challenges associated with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually in a band before I ever played solo. So before I ever played my own things, I was played in a band with two other people. It wasn't my band; it was my friend's. It was her music, but so because I had that experience, it was like quite. I missed that. Like I loved playing in a band, and it's just like you have this like connection and this like yeah that you don't really experience in another place. But yeah, it was really empowering though. Like going from playing solo, like never having really played with a few like drummers and bassists before I gathered my band together. But it's very cool to like put your songs to like drums and like
Mm,
bass, and it's just like make it just brings this whole other element to it. And I was really lucky and have some really incredible musicians and bandmates. So they
yeah.
just do the song so much justice. Like it's just yeah, I'm really looked at.
Yeah. So do you think that that's something that you're likely to continue to move forward with rather
Yeah,
than going solo?
yeah, I mean, I probably play just as many solo shows, if not more, than I do band shows, just because of the ease of playing solo. It's just one person, no schedules to conflict with. But
Yeah.
yeah, going forward, I want to, I'll still continue to play live with the band. I think, um, as soon as live shows come back, um, it will, yeah, band shows are going to be how I want to perform just because the album is recorded full band and I really want to bring that to a live performance. And
Mm.
yeah, I think it's again, like it's just having a band playing with you is just adds so much more, like a different energy to a set. So it's just always great.
Oh, great. So I guess we've spoken a little bit about COVID and how that's affected you, but during releasing these songs, how has it affected the process? I know that you said that you went to your band members' beach house, which was probably a great opportunity, but how has it changed how you've operated in terms of releasing your album?
Um, it's changed probably a lot, but I think
Mm.
I'm quite used to it. Used to the climate of things now. But yeah, before COVID, we had planned to release this album in September. Um, the things that have changed is really just live performances. So I was meant to go on my first interstate like solo tour in May,
Yeah.
and yeah, that didn't happen obviously, which was fine. It was the circumstance of everything. And yeah, again, like we'll just have to push back the album tour probably, depending on how things go, either to hopefully the end of this year. But it's pretty much just live shows that have changed and the opportunity to, ha- have people in the audience, new people in the audience, sell records, which we'll have on vinyl. Just not the same. It's not the same doing it all from the internet, but it still works. People still listen to music even if they can't go see it live. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And going on vinyl as well, that was what was behind that choice of deciding to release a vinyl album?
I I just always wanted to release vinyl. I think it was always like, if I could, then I would. And um, yeah, it's just kind of I grew up listening to vinyl. Um, I love vinyl, and it's just like such an important part of an album for me. And
Mhm.
the possibility of not doing it because of cost or the viability was always there, but we were able to make it work. So um, yeah, I'm pressing vinyl with a distribution company in the US called Vinyl, VNYL.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's really great company to partner with, and um, just making everything like seamless. And it's just great to have other people on your team as well, from
Yeah.
vinyl to distribution to publicity to publishing. It just makes the experience so much better. So yeah, I'm very happy that we ended up pressing it on vinyl because I'm really
Yeah.
excited to have that in the world.
Oh, I love buying vinyl records.
Mm.
It's great. So you mentioned that the people that you have on your team, who else has been involved in terms of the process of getting all this together?
Well, I wear the biggest hat
Yeah.
as managing everything and planning and making everything work. But I definitely do rely on first my bandmates, especially Andy, who's very involved with engineering and mixing the album. Just to make decisions with and bounce ideas off. And then I started working with Believe, it's a distribution label, and just nice to have like another person kind of giving their input and supporting you and pitching for you. And then yeah, just collecting a few others along the way. It's really just incredible people, supportive people to work with, from the the people at Brain Drain who've been in publicity to Jules at Midnight Choir who does I do sync with. Um, And yeah, just a, and then vinyl again for doing the vinyl. It's just like really great to kind of start building that team. And
Yeah.
doing it alone and making decisions is okay, but it's just really nice to share that sometimes, even just to have someone to listen to you and kind of be invested in it in whatever way.
And I guess so many people have so much input to give as well that maybe you haven't experienced. So that's great.
Yeah.
So I guess what would it mean for you to feel like you've been successful in your career? So at what point would you sort of look at what you've done and say, yeah, I've done well, I've achieved something here?
Yeah. Good question. I've definitely like asked myself that or thought about that, because sometimes it is a really good question to ask yourself in any industry, in any profession.
Yeah.
Um, I think I know like what would make me feel successful is getting the opportunity to go on tour, and that doesn't even mean a headline tour, but just being able to travel and share my music, around the States, around
Mm.
Europe, around Australia, of course. Um, that would feel like a success, and being able to continue creating and making music, and hopefully in a sustainable way, because it is really hard to um, make a living off of music. But I think as just growing the audience and reaching as many people as I can, whether that's listening to music from home, online, streaming, or um, getting to play it live in front of people. I guess ultimately a headline tour would be really great. If I'm like
Yeah.
really shooting, yeah, a headline tour would make me feel like I made it.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing that headline tour.
Me too.
So, from your experience, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians that might be watching this back?
Um, man, I guess it's hard because there's so there's so much advice I'd like to give, but I think just ultimately like build a community of people around you that sorry, my dog's barking in the background,
Right,
that
moment
support
before.
that support you. I think just having people around you, whether that's like, you know I think it's maybe for me it's really important to share music and share the experience as an artist with other people. um, but just determination, like it's a lot of hard work to make things happen, but it hopefully pays off if you put enough in there, enough work into it. Yeah, and I think just like sometimes all of that noise, all of that like, admin and management and promotion and pitching and everything that goes into kind of building yourself and building your music and your audience, all that noise sometimes just feels overwhelming. But I think at the end of the day, like songwriting and creating just makes me so reassured about why I do this, and it's really important for me to go back to that and just go back to the content and the music. If I'm having a bad day, a bad music week or whatever, doubting myself or just whatever. But I think the music, just going back to the roots and the why of why you do it.
Yeah. So I guess what's next on the radar for you?
Well, album. Sorry, dogs barking. Someone must be at the door. Um, the album is next. It's coming out September 18.
Yeah.
Is that loud, the dog bark? I think it's going to stop
Oh,
soon.
no, it's fine. It's in the
Okay.
background, but
Okay,
it's
good.
fine.
Um, so yeah, September 18th, the album's coming out. And then after that, like, we're, as soon as live gigs come back on the radar, um, that's gonna happen. Like, I'm just really excited to do it, even just play a show in Melbourne or just go on tour, and like, do everything I can to support this album. And like, I would just can't wait to play it for people, in front of people. And but yeah, I'm just looking forward to like keep on expanding. Like, I really want to go do a tour in the US. That's where I'm from, and I didn't really have any interest in that, but I still have connections there, and it's pretty accessible for me, and compared to other people coming from overseas. And album number 2 or EP or next single, I've just put together new songs. Like I said, I record on voice memo, and I just threw them all into a folder, and there's like 20 or something. So
Awesome.
I'll be working on those in the
Mm.
meantime.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned. Look forward to hearing them. So I guess, is there anything else that you'd like to share with people before we finish up?
Well, just that the album's out September 18. You could pre-order it right now on my Bandcamp on vinyl, and it will be it will be coming out. Might be a bit of a delay because of COVID, but what's not delayed because of COVID these days? But it will be online and listenable from the 18th, and I'll be doing a few like online shows that will be announced soon.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an amazing chat. And yeah, I look forward to being able to listen and play your album when it comes out.
Yeah,
Um,
thank.
Hopefully the 18th.
Yeah,
All
just a
right.
few weeks.
Yeah. So definitely stay tuned, and I'll put the link so everyone can find LT's music as well as the link to the Borderlines release of her Space video as well.
Yeah,
So thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what comes out for you next.
thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It was good to chat.
Thank you.